Have you ever wished you could just get your entire strategy down on a single page? Well, today we're diving into a powerful tool that's designed to do pretty much just that. It's called a SWOT analysis. We've all been there, right? You're facing a big project, a business goal, and it just feels messy, overwhelming. So how do you cut through all that complexity and create a clear plan? Well, what if I told you there's a simple 4-quadrant tool that can bring instant clarity? That's exactly what SWOT is all about. So, what does SWOT actually stand for? It's pretty straightforward: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Honestly, it's one of the most popular risk identification tools out there, used by teams and entire companies to get a really quick, but also really comprehensive look at what they're up against. Okay, let's get into what really makes a SWOT analysis so effective. The secret sauce is this core idea of splitting your thinking into two distinct halves: what's happening inside your world versus what's happening outside of it. And this is the fundamental concept you've got to get. On one side, you have your internal factors, your strengths and your weaknesses. Think of these as the things you can actually control, the stuff you have the power to change. Then on the other side, you have the external factors, the opportunities and threats. These are things out in the wider world that you can't really control. You can only observe and react to them. Getting this distinction right is absolutely key. And here's where it gets interesting, because you start to see this direct cause and effect relationship. Your internal strengths, they aren't just things you're good at. They are literally the keys that can unlock external opportunities. You see how one directly feeds the other? It's a powerful connection. All right, enough theory, right? Let's make this feel a little more real. We're going to walk through a quick case study, let's say for a process improvement project, to see exactly how this whole thing works in practice. So first things first, the project team looked inward. They asked, what are we really good at? And they landed on two major strengths. They have an incredibly reliable supply chain, and their customer satisfaction is consistently through the roof. These are their core internal advantages. Now, you might be thinking, hang on, a supply chain, isn't that an external thing? And that's a great question. But here's the critical difference. The organization chooses its partners. They decide who's in that supply chain. And because they control that relationship, it's considered an internal factor. They are empowered to change it. And boom, this illustrates perfectly how those strengths create opportunities. Because their supply chain is so reliable, their suppliers are way more willing to adapt to improvements. And because their customers are so happy, those same customers might actually be willing to partner with them to get changes rolled out even faster. See? It's a total win-win. But you know, a powerful analysis isn't just about patting yourself on the back. Now we've got to flip to the other side of the coin. It's time to take an honest look at the internal weaknesses and the external threats they might be inviting. And you'll see the exact same logic here, just in reverse. Just like your strengths can unlock opportunities, your internal weaknesses can create openings for external threats to come right in. A problem you ignore on the inside can make you incredibly vulnerable on the outside. So what did the team find when they took that hard look in the mirror? They identified two pretty big internal weaknesses. First, their current process had way too many manual steps. And second, some of their employees had gotten a little complacent. They just learned to live with a process that everybody knew wasn't very efficient. And check this out. You can see the direct threats that bubble up from those weaknesses. All those manual operations, that severely limited their options for real improvement. And that employee complacency? Well, that created a very real threat of resistance to the very changes they needed to make. And just like that, the entire picture becomes crystal clear. Okay, so you've done it. You've filled out all 4 boxes. The grid looks fantastic. But now what? I have to be really clear here. A SWOT analysis is completely and totally useless if it doesn't lead to concrete action. This right here is probably the most important takeaway of all. Completing the SWOT grid isn't the finish line. It's the starting line. Its whole purpose is to become the foundation for a real, living plan to actively manage your threats and go after your opportunities. And the process from here is actually pretty straightforward. You take all these findings and you use them to build out a simple action plan. The goal here is to prioritize. Which opportunities should we chase first? Which threats do we absolutely have to deal with right now? This is how you turn your analysis into a smart, data-driven to-do list. So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question to mull over for your own work or your own projects. Take a minute and really think about what you or your team does best. What's the biggest undiscovered opportunity that your unique strengths could unlock?
That right there is the power of thinking with SWOT.